Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita. The text
Don't do
which
that.
Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita, the text which was spoken by the Lord itself to the Arjuna. That too in a situation of a battlefield, a most very ghastly kind of war which was happened almost 5,000 years ago in Kurukshetra. So obviously it was a tough situation of crisis when Arjuna is standing in the middle of that particular battlefield. And that time, Lord Shri Krishna spoke this particular text, which is known as Bhagavad Gita or the Song of God. Many personalities, whether they are top spiritual leaders or the politicians or the celebrities, most of them swear by the text of Bhagavad Gita. To name a few, Albert Einstein, Mahatma Gandhi, in the current scenario, Narendra Modi ji, E. Sridharan and all. But at the same time, Indian media or some of the particular wing type people say that it's a mythology. Is it so? So it's such an important text. How can it be mythology? Why it is claimed as mythology? Why some people are saying it's a mythology, whereas some people swear by it as far as their success is concerned, or whenever they feel that they are not able to contribute towards their workplace or their roles, they always follow Bhagavad Gita. So we are in this kind of dilemma. At one time, some people are saying it's a mythology. At the other hand, some people are just swear by it. So setting a tune for today's session, the today's session is all about this only. Is Bhagavad Gita a mythology? With this, I welcome you on the third day of this series dealing with COVID crisis situation through the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita. Today, we are moving towards the second topic of this session, and very interesting topic to understand. Without much ado, I welcome all of you on the YouTube channel as well as on our Zoom platform. And now I welcome our speaker, His Grace Madan Sundar Das ji, to take over it. Prabhuji, the stage is all yours.
Pasha. We welcome everyone for today evening program. Today is Monday, so being a working day, I hope I'm first of all really grateful to each one of you for taking out your time for this important series of discussions that we're doing based on Bhagavad Gita. So to begin with our topic today, I'll do a quick recap of what we have discussed until yesterday. So the very first topic of our discussion was, is God in control? Now, for God to be in control, or for us to have that answer, the very fundamental thing is that we need to know, does God really exist? What I mean by saying really exist means we know for sure. Whenever you ask a general audience about does God exist, many times they say yes, some say no, and many of them say maybe, maybe not. And even those who say yes, they really don't have a concrete answer So therefore, we discuss about 4 categories of people who claim that they believe God exists, but they believe God exists because of different reasons, for desires, uncertainty, or fear of unknown, the social pressure, traditions, etc. So in the very first session, first of all, we established, yes, God exists, and there are logical reasons to believe God exists. Not only we gave you scriptural claims, but we also spoke out logic, what is called as science. For law, lawmaker must exist. For a creation, creator must exist. For energy, there should be energetic. And for organization, there should be an organizer. So after describing or giving this some 3, 4 reasons to give an evidence as that, yes, there must be some higher personality or superior personality that is managing the whole affairs. Yet there are 2 fundamental challenging questions about the existence of God. One, can you show me God? Second, who created God? We discussed about it. We gave you the logical presentation again. Yet for us to know God, we need to have a complete understanding about Him. Therefore, we raised the question, how do I gain a complete understanding about the absolute truth? And if you remember, I had given an example. If there is a building which is 100 years old, you can still figure it out who was the owner. If there is a building or a site which is thousands years old, maybe not, you can know who was the owner of it. But something which was created at the beginning of the time, millions and billions of years old, how can we really figure it out who was the creator? So the question that we raised in yesterday's discussion was, how do we gain knowledge? And there are 3 ways of gaining knowledge. Pratyaksha, which means if you show me, I believe. Anuman, which means speculation and hypothesis. And Shabda Praman. Of course, it does not mean Pratyaksha and Anuman Praman are wrong. They have their value. But can they really help us to find out about God or to know about God in certainty? So before we could see that, we had raised a question about 3 fundamental questions. Fundamental questions like, which is of concern for everyone. Hare Krishna. Just trying to see if my presentation is working. Just one quick second, please. Yes. Okay, yes, working. So the very first question, we have discussed 3 fundamental questions yesterday, and the very first one of it was, who created the universe? The science teaches us the universe came through Big Bang theory, or they talk about Big Bang and explosion. So here's a question for all of you. According to you, is Big Bang theory based on Pratyaksha Praman? The author saw the explosion happening. If not, was it an Anuman Praman? What do you think? Well, Pratyaksha, Anuman have their own limitation to really get to know to the crux, particularly when it comes to the subject matter, which is beyond time and space. However, Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, what we call as Shabda Praman, Krishna says, Pitaham asya jagato mata data pitamaha. Vedyam pavitra omkara rik sama yajur evacha. Pita, father, aham, I. Pitaham asya jagato. Of this jagat, of this whole universe, Krishna says, I am the father. Mata, mother, dhata means maintainer. Mata, dhata, pitamaha, and I am the grandsire. Vedyam pavitram omkara, I am the sound of Om. Rik Sama Yajur Evacha. I am the Rik Sama Yajur. Eva means certainly. I am this Vedic scriptures. So Krishna says here that I am the Father. I am the one who created this universe, or I am the father of this universe, father, mother, and maintainer. So question is, do you want to believe a speculative theory, or do you want to put a faith on what Lord Shri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita? Choice is ours. Second question that we had discussed yesterday is, who created all living beings? Again, the science says Darwin's theory, which means different species of life. And we had glorified Darwin theory enough, Darwin yesterday enough. So I'm not going to speak about Darwin today. But if I have to ask you again, the Darwin's theory is based on Pratyaksha, Did he ever saw one species getting transformed into another species, or do we have any evidence of it today that we can see? There's no pratyaksha praman. Now, is it Anuman praman, which means speculation? Well, yes, Darwin himself said this is hypothesis. So how can we believe in hypothesis? Hypothesis is not a science until it is proven. Whereas Lord Shri Krishna says, Sarvayonishu Kaunteya Murtaya Sambhavantiya Tasam Brahma Mahadyonir Aham Bija Pratapida. Krishna says categorically, Krishna, I am Aham Bij Pratapita. I am the seed giving father, and the material nature gives birth to all different species, which are 8.4 million species. And who is the father? Krishna says, I am the father. So the choice is ours once again. We want to believe on some speculative theories, or we want to believe in the word of Krishna as Shabda Praman. Third question, the fundamental question, who created life? The science says, they quote Richard Dawkins about the chance theory, where according to him, the unicellular, the chemicals combine together to form unicellular, unicellular combine together to form multicellular, and the complex living entities like us. And for every living entity like us, there is a genetic code which is fed into the RNA and DNA. And according to the scientists themselves, this genetic code is the most complex written code in this creation that they know of. Now, for any Google apps or any application that we use, we know that it's been programmed by somebody. So the question is very simple. Who programmed the genetic code? Well, Krishna says, I did it. Mamaivams jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manashastrani indriyani prakriti sthani kashati. In essence, it is reasonable to believe that there is an intelligent creator behind this universe, creator behind this 8.4 million species of life, and creator behind this life, rather than believing on some speculative theories. And how do we know the answer? Through the Shabda Praman. So yesterday when we concluded our discussion, we spoke about Shabda Praman. If a child wants to know who his father is, he goes to the mother and asks, who is my father? And mother tells, this is your father. So Vedas or Bhagavad Gita, which is also known as Gita Upanishad, or the Vedic scriptures in essence, or in general, are said to be the mother who tells us who is our supreme father. Therefore, in our today's discussion, we are talking about, is Bhagavad Gita a mythology? Can I put faith in the Vedic scriptures? Because today's time we are taught the Vedic scriptures are mythology. Ramayana, 2 days from now, there's Ram Navami, the appearance of Lord Ram. Yet people say Ram was a mythological figure. If so, why millions of people all around the world would celebrate an appearance of a mythical character? It's something like somebody celebrating the birth of Harry Potter. Harry Potter series is very famous. I mean, okay, maybe you may celebrate Harry Potter's birth for a few years, maybe for a few decades. According to Ramayana, Lord Shri Ram had appeared almost 12 million years ago. How is it possible for last 12 million years we have been celebrating Ram Navami? I mean, it's a very special mythical figure, unless otherwise, isn't it? So before we get into the subject matter of is Bhagavad Gita mythology, I would like to begin with another fundamental question here. And the question is, with which we begin with the poll. So I'll ask our coordinator to please show the poll, the first poll. And the poll is, what is everyone searching for in this world? What is that one thing that everyone is searching for in this world, according to you? And if in case there is somebody on the YouTube, can you copy paste these questions on the YouTube? So they have, they can also participate. So what is that one thing everyone in this world is searching for? All right. So all of you have to be, it's like a rapid fire round. You have to be very quick. We can give you 10 seconds, 20 seconds. So, okay, let's end the poll now. 30 seconds over now is a simple question. So if I see the result in front of me is almost 89% participants says happiness. Yes, indeed it is the right answer. There are 7.2 billion people in this world, regardless of the race, the religion, the color, and the gender. Everyone is searching for happiness. For all our desires, the baseline is happiness. So question is, how many of us can claim to have attained happiness? Even if we have, for how long? Well, in today's discussion, we'll be talking about 4 different levels of happiness. So here, for the time being, the point is the search for happiness is not only common for human beings, it is also common for animals. Even animals are searching for happiness. So question arises, what are the commonalities between the humans and animals? There's said to be 4 commonalities according to Mahabharata. I will quote the verse in a short while. The 4 commonalities between the animals and humans are S. S refers to sleep. When it comes to humans, they may sleep on the king-size bed, the queen-size bed, and a 3 BHK, 5 BHK. They make too much amount. They make incredible amount of arrangements for their sleeping. They need to have an AC and comfort and whatnot. But when it comes to animals, animals also sleep. Wherever they find a place, they fall asleep. Either man or either a human or an animal, after sleeping, nobody knows where they are unless they wake up. But yes, so sleep is common between humans and animals. I hope you agree with that. Second, the common thing between the humans and animals is E. E for eating. When it comes to humans, how much elaborate arrangements? When you go to a hotel, the waiter comes to you and asks you, sir, would you like vegetarian or non-vegetarian? But when it comes to a cow would only eat grass, would not eat any non-vegetarian. When it comes to lion, would only eat non-vegetarian, but not the grass. But when it comes to humans, so different kinds of restaurants, unlimited kind of cuisine, intercontinental, South India, East India, West India, North India, whatever India, whichever India, varieties of it. So much arrangements and energy. Human energy is wasted to make an arrangement for eating, to taste variety of things, but still it is common between humans and animals. Animals eat, humans eat, but we make a lot of arrangements to increase the quality of our eating. So that's the second one. The third E, the third is E. Again, E is enjoyment. When it comes to humans, how much, once again, our energy is spent on creating different means and opportunities for our enjoyment. There are pubs, there are theaters, there are cinema plexes or theaters, the same thing. There are stadiums, then there are theme parks and whatnot. And of course, on topmost, which is said to be, is the pleasure of a union between a male and female. Well, when we talk about animals, even animals enjoy, but they don't make all this tremendous arrangement for their enjoyment. Yes, there is a pleasure of a union between the animals also, but they act according to the dictation of the nature. They don't make any arrangements or plans for their union between a male and a female animal I'm referring to. But when it comes to human society, once again, how much of our energy, take a look at any advertisement, any TV serial, any movie song, any book, anywhere in this world, everywhere you see the message about the union between the male and female is glorified, and more effort is put forward into increasing the experience of it. But once again, these are the common things. And D, the last, is defense. When it comes to humans, once again, how much of our energy and money is spent on creating defense, which means there are different kinds of policies, life insurance, so much amount of money is spent on defense, infrastructure and whatnot. But when it comes to animals, nature have provided them with either the sharp teeth or the claws to protect. And they continue to live and go through these 4 things that even humans go. So the question is, or I would say the reflection here is, humans and animals have these 4 things common. Humans try to enjoy these 4 things at a more higher level by making a lot of arrangements for it. But ultimately, humans and animals both have this common. Is there any difference between the human and animal? If there is a commonality, are there or is there any difference? So in basic desires, we are same with animals. What is the difference? Is there any difference? Yes. Generally, when I'm giving this session in a live audience, I would have more interaction, but I really can't do too much interaction with the audience right now. So I'm just going ahead. So bear with me for that. So there are 4 things which makes human unique to animal. A refers to ability to inquire. Just like Buddha, Gautam Buddha, he became Buddha, the enlightened sage, by his ability to inquire. All his life, his father protected him from recognizing, understanding the miseries of life. But once when he went out of the kingdom, when he saw a dying man, the old man, and the deceased man, then he began to inquire, why am I suffering? And that inquiry paved the way.
Hare Krishna. Seems there is some internet issue. We'll resume quickly.
And Dipasha Mataji, Hare Krishna, Dipasha Mataji,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Mataji, Prabhu ji का नेट चला गया है.
Yes. Just give us 1 minute. There is some internet issue from Prabhuji's end. We are just resolving. We are just checking from our end. So we are just working on the internet. Haribol, meanwhile, if all of you are interested, we can do a small kirtan. Okay.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Mataji.
Because I think Lord has given this opportunity to do a small kirtan till the time Prabhuji is gonna come back with the internet, full-fledged internet. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hari Bol.
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare Ram, Hare
Rama,
Ram, Ram Hare.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji is back with full-fledged internet. So Prabhuji, over to you. Are you able to hear me, Prabhuji?
Yes. रुकावट के लिए खेद है, हमारा इंटरनेट चला गया था. All right. So We were talking about ability to inquire, the difference between the humans and animals. So unfortunately, this ability to inquire today is being utilized only for the fulfillment of the 4 basic needs which are common between humans and animals. But that is not what we should be using this ability to inquire only for those things. We should follow the example of Gautam Buddha, where he began to ask, why am I suffering? And we're going to talk about it in a short while, but that's the point here. Not just to ask for the basic needs of maintenance of the body, but to seek out the higher levels of happiness or the bliss, what B stands for and represents. We'll talk about this in the next slide. C is a choice. Animals function on instinct, is a known fact. If they feel hungry, they hunt out for their food. But when it comes to humans, they do have a choice. They have a choice to accept or reject it. The presentation on the very first topic, on the very first day, we began with this subject matter, that between a stimuli and a response is a space wherein lies a freedom, and in that freedom lies the secret of our success and growth. How we respond determines our success or our failure or our future. That's the point all about. So choice is very important. And D is determination. Determination to do the above 3 things. Make the right kind of inquiry, search out for the higher levels of happiness or the bliss, and to make the right choice. That is what the determination should be used for. And these 4 things makes us unique or superior to animals. So humans are designed for ABCD. Now let's talk about the 4 kinds of bliss. There are 4 levels of happiness. The level of happiness that we are quite familiar with is at the level of body. That is B for body, the physical level of happiness. So people ask, what's the problem if I'm trying to fulfill the 4 basic needs of my life? Well, there's no problem, but yet there's a problem. For you to enjoy at the bodily level, the 2 conditions have to be met. First, the resources have to be unlimited, so you can continue enjoying unlimitedly. Second, even if resources are made unlimited, which is not the fact, resources are not unlimited, therefore there's crisis and conflicts. Even if resources are made unlimited, the second issue is our senses does not stay strong forever. As we grow old, they become feeble and weak. At the end of the day, physical happiness really does not give us that level of happiness which we are hankering for. Now that's the physical level of happiness, which is actually at the lowest level. Now higher than the physical happiness or the happiness at the body level is the E for emotional happiness. Now you can reply with yes or no if you agree with this or not. Emotional happiness refers to happiness born out of loving relationship. Just like when a lover or a boy or a girl falls in love with each other, they forego or they forget about hunger. They don't drink water. They don't eat food when it comes to meeting with each other. Yes or no? Let's put it other way around. If somebody have had a problem in a relationship, if somebody is disturbed, emotionally hurt, even if you're served with the best of the food, you cannot enjoy, isn't it? Therefore, emotional happiness is higher than the bodily happiness. If there is a suffering at the emotional level, you cannot enjoy at the physical level also. Higher than emotional happiness is I. I refers to intellectual happiness. Intellectual happiness refers to the joy the person derives by solving problems, by intellectual activities, wherein he forgoes emotional and physical happiness. A classic example is Abdul Kalam. Abdul Kalam was asked, why were you not married? He said, when I was 20-year-old, I entered the lab. When I came out of the lab, I was 72-year-old. So he definitely let go of his physical needs. And more than that, he did not got married, which means he was so absorbed in intellectual happiness, he could let go of his emotional needs also. But higher than the intellectual happiness is S, refers to spiritual happiness. This is said to be the unlimited bliss which is experienced in relationship with the Supreme Lord. The seers and the sages who have experienced this spiritual bliss, they explain, if spiritual bliss is compared to an ocean, then the physical happiness, intellectual and emotional happiness is not even a drop of this ocean of spiritual bliss. And that is what Bhagavad Gita teaches us, how to access this highest and unlimited bliss. And it is a prerogative of a human being, as an opportunity given within the human species. So what makes human being superior to animals? And that is what this ABCD formula that we just discussed. And this is the verse from Mahabharata that talks about the four commonalities. Ahara nidra bhayametunam cha samanyametat pashubhir naranam dharmo hitesham adhiko vishesha dharme nahina pashubhi samanaha. Ahar nidra bhaya metunam. This refers to the seed formula. Samanyam etat pashubhi narana. Pashu and nar. Between pashu and nar, these are the four common things. But what is unique for a human being? Dharmo hitesham adhiko vishesha. Adhiko vishesh. The unique to the human being is a practice of dharma. Dharme nahina. What if the person does not practice dharma? Pashubhi samana. Such a person is almost like an animal. Now, here the word dharma does not mean the religion that we know of today. I will be speaking about what is dharma in the future session. But for the timing, please understand it is not referring to the religions. Dharma does not translate to religion. The meaning of the word religion, if you look into the English dictionary, it means a group of people coming together and sharing a common faith, and they form a religion. Therefore, even atheist has a religion. And what is their religion? Their religion means there is no God. So even atheists have a religion. That's the point. So what makes human beings superior to animal? Let's take a look at this question again. Look around the world. We have made tremendous material advancement. Western countries have reached the summit of material advancement. We have luxurious cars. We have skyscraper building, latest methods of communication. But yet, all these facilities are being utilized to enjoy superior luxuries of sleeping, eating, enjoying, and defending. Isn't it? All our technological advancement fulfills these four basic and gross purposes. But the question arises, are we really happy? Are we? Why humans are dissatisfied? Why they are full of anxiety, stressed, and depressed? Let's talk about this for a second. Let me start with a simple example. Even humans have this access to four levels of happiness, which is from sleeping, eating, mating, defending. Similarly, animals have it. But the difference between humans and animals is that humans have a far greater access to enjoy through the superior luxuries than the animals. The question is, have you ever seen any animal committing suicide despite having far lesser facility to enjoy the four basic things than humans? Humans having far greater opportunity and facility, yet humans commit suicide. The question arises, why human being is dissatisfied? So what is the nature of happiness? Let's talk about the nature of happiness, which we are so much longing to. For an example, let's say I serve you a water of glass. Now your joy of drinking that water of glass depends on the degree of your misery. Now you will wonder, what do I mean by degree of misery? The more the person is thirsty, the more the person would relish the glass of water. Yes or no? I don't know what you are saying because I'm looking at the camera only. So can you all tell me what the audience is saying here? Yes or no? Are they acknowledging, nodding something? Oh, please enable the chat there. So at least. So let's make it interactive. Keep it enabled and you keep me a feedback what's going on, because through you only I can interact with the audience here. So my question is, The more thirsty you are, the more you will enjoy a glass of water, isn't it? Which means for us to be happy, that happiness must be preceded by suffering. If we have suffered, then only we can enjoy is the nature of happiness on the bodily level. That's the reason the person is dissatisfied. Now, the another nature of the happiness on the body level is, imagine, I serve you gulab jamun, and gulab jamun is your favorite sweet. Now, this is your favorite sweet, and I'm serving you gulab jamun. I give you 4 pieces, probably you'll be very happy. I give you 4 more pieces, maybe you're grateful. I give you another 4 pieces, you will say, okay, Prabhu, not to me only, why don't you give it to my neighbor? And then if I give you another 4 pieces, I say, please, please eat it. By the time you've already eaten 12 pieces of gulab jamun, now you'll be totally frustrated, because now the gulab jamun will be stuck up to your throat, and seeing another piece of gulab jamun, you will feel like vomiting. Yes or no? So the same activity which was giving you happiness had become a miserable. First thing. Second thing, even if I give you 4 gulab jamun, would you become satisfied forever? Or after a day, you will still feel like, wish I could have more gulab jamun. Like this, the hankering continues. Therefore, the nature of the gross happiness, which unfortunately we try to seek out only, the nature of the happiness is it keeps us dissatisfied, full of anxiety, uncertainty of future, stressed, lack of recreation. Dalai Lama was asked, what is the most amazing thing in this world? And Dalai Lama said, I have traveled all over the world, met all kinds of people. The most amazing thing is people work hard day and night. They work hard day and night to make money. They build their bank balance, and one day they fall sick, and they spend all their bank balance in recovering from their sickness. And they again come back out of the hospital and again work day and night. And I wonder, when do they enjoy life? And why were they earning money, and for what? So stressed out, lack of recreation, and finally depressed, because the search for happiness never ends. And therefore, people are dissatisfied. Let me ask this question to all of you. Again, you can answer yes or no. I'm not sure if I have a poll here. If I have a poll, no, I don't have a poll. So let me ask you this. How many of you believe that your grandparents were far much more happier than what you are today? Yes or no? Or maybe. I'm not talking about your parents. I'm talking about your grandparents. How many of you feel that they were far much more happy, far much more peaceful and content as you are? What's the response? Yes. Okay, so most of you are saying yes. Let me ask this question to you now. How many of you believe or know that you have far much more facilities to enjoy today than your grandparents? Yes or no? Yes. You have a far more facilities to enjoy? Then it is a contradiction. If you have far much more facility to enjoy, then you should be more happy. The point here is the facilities does not bring happiness. The happiness comes while seeking out for high levels of happiness. People earlier were happy because emotionally they were very content and satisfied. Today, most of the people are not even aware of emotional happiness. Everyone is looking at the happiness at the physical level. Then what to speak of intellectual and spiritual happiness? So human beings, the uniqueness or the unique feature of human being is they have been awarded with a higher intelligence. The function of intelligence is to inquire. And inquire about what? Inquiry should not be about when would I get food, where would I make money, when would I get to sleep. Well, these things would be arranged on its own. But the inquiry should be just like Gautam Buddha made an inquiry. Why am I suffering? To inquire about the purpose of life. What's the purpose of my life? To give an example, Alexander the Great, when he went on the world tour, not exactly a tour, he went all around the world to win over the world. So his guru, his spiritual master, had told him, when you reach India, bring a sage from India back to Greece. So when Alexander reached India, when he was on his journey of winning over different nations, when he came to India, he told his commander, go and find a sage and bring it to him. When the commander found a sage, then the commander said, the king had ordered you to come and meet him, the sage said, well, I do not follow anyone's order because I don't depend on anyone. I don't need to meet with your king. If your king wants to meet with me, then tell him to come and meet me. Now that was a big insult for Alexander. Nobody would give a response like this. Alexander came in front of that sage. He said, how dare you talk to me like this? Don't you know who I am? The sage said, well, I really don't know. Who are you? Please tell me. And what do you do? And Alexander said, I am Alexander, and I am on my journey to win all over the world. The sage asked, what will you do after winning the whole world? I will get married to the best of the ladies. And he said, I will get married to 100 most beautiful women. Then the sage asked, what will you do? I'll build huge, magnificent palaces, and I would live in those palaces with my 100 queens. Then the sage asked, what will you do next? Alexander said, well, with each of this queen, I'll have one son. So sage said, all right, what will you do then? Alexander said, well, I will divide the whole world among my 100 sons. And sage again asked, what will you do then? What would be the next thing? Now Alexander was perplexed. What do you mean, what will I do then? I have not thought so much. And then he said, well, after dividing the kingdom among my 100 sons, I will sit back and relax. So sage said, well, you can do that now also. There is a seat empty next to me. Please come and sit and relax. So point is, people even don't know what is the purpose of their life, and they're just running here and there, blindly falling after some vague desires. Third, to harmonize our life with God and nature. Unfortunately, the crisis and the pandemic we are faced with today, which have led to so much crisis in the lives of so many and deaths of so many people, is just because of there are people out in the world who are bent on destroying the functioning of the nature. They think they're more smarter than the Lord, than the nature, and they continue to fiddle with it. I don't know how many of you agree with it or not, but let me ask this question to all of you. Any examples of modern discoveries or modern solutions that have only created more problems than the solution? When first it was introduced to us, it was like the biggest and the best invention of all times. However, after 20, 30 years, we realized that invention was a curse. Simple example, the vehicles, which are the massive cause of air pollution, isn't it? The industry, which are the massive cause of water pollution. There are so many examples of it. So so that's the point, to harmonize our life with God and nature. That should be the purpose. The higher intelligence is given to understand how the world functions and how we are supposed to live a life. And ultimately, to use this higher intelligence to attain eternal happiness. And that is called as spiritual bliss. So let's take an opportunity to ask this question here, which is being said on this slide, to find out the cause of sufferings. So let's use our intelligence to inquire this question right now. Why am I suffering? Why there is so much suffering in the world today? And this is a kind of question which, since the beginning we have started the discussion, many of you have already raised. Well, there's said to be something called as a real problem. So in scriptures, certain things are defined as a real problem. Can we have a poll here? So what is a real problem? And there are 4 options for you to select from. What would you call as a real problem? Is death a real problem? Overpopulation is a real problem? Is unemployment or the food shortage is a real problem? Is the poll happening?
Yes.
Why I don't see any results? Okay. I hope the poll is happening. You're able to see the results?
Yes, before 10, 55 marks.
So what's our top answer? Death. Correct. Thank you. Among all that. So what is the definition of a real problem? Let's take a look. What is defined as a real problem? Real problem is defined as, one second, my slides. Yes. So real problem is one which is common to all. Nobody wants it and nobody can avoid it. By the way, this is not CNN news channel. For some, it could be real problem, but that's not the point here. So which is common? Birth, death, old age. Lord Shri Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, hey Arjuna, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi are the real problems. Birth, death, old age, and disease. It is common to all. Nobody wants it and nobody can avoid it. But not only this are the four real life problems, but there are other three problems with which we all suffer. That is called as threefold miseries. To begin with, Adhyatmika Klesha. Adhyatmika Klesha is because of one's mind and body. If there is a little pinch in our body, we'll be totally restless, isn't it? And what to speak about stressed out mind. And there are all the statistics which talks about how much stress is increasing day by day among the younger generation. And that is becoming one of the causes of the people committing suicide or the teenagers committing suicide. Second, klesha or the problem is defined because of adhibautika, other living entities. Well, you can call coronavirus in this category, but according to science, corona is not a virus. It's not a living entity, actually. It's a hybrid, it's something else. So even in that case, let's put it on the other living entity, which means a bite by a mosquito. There's nobody who can say who's not been bitten by a mosquito, or have issues with the other living entities, the people or the dogs in the society. I believe since the lockdown happened, the dogs have become the kings of the street. Now they don't let men walk on the street. There's everywhere so much problems with the dogs. Anyways, and adhidaivika kalesh due to nature. The high temperature, the cold weather, and so forth. These are 4 plus 3 are the 7 real life problems are described in the scriptures. Do you all agree with this? Isn't it? Nobody wants it. Nobody can avoid it. And it's common to all, which means all of us, sometime in our life, we all have to face either of it. So question arises, can science fix this problem? Although we are advanced in medical science and have latest technologies, but they don't have any solution for any of the real life problems. They only have temporary solution for the temporary problems. They cannot stop old age, eradicate disease, and hardly has understanding of life and death. Despite their empty promises that they will make the world free of diseases, if you look at the history of the last 100 years, every 5 years, there is a kind of a pandemic or a flu. Look, in the last 10 years, what had happened, there had been a swine flu, and there was this mad cow disease and whatnot. So many other problems have come. So they have a solution which is temporary for the temporary problem. For example, if you got a white hair, they give you a Godrej hair dye. If you got wrinkles on face, facelift cream or whatnot. If you have a back pain, stomach pain, use painkillers. And breathlessness, there are oxygen tubes, etc. So if you pay attention here and if you recognize, Bhagavad Gita very systematically and categorically identifies the real problems of life. It not only identifies, but it also gives the solution. So Bhagavad Gita, like this, educates us about 7 real problems and also gives us the solution. So here we have a poll for all of you, just to check if you all agree with the Bhagavad Gita analysis on real life problems. Now, these problems are beyond caste, color, creed, or the religion. This is not that because Bhagavad Gita is so-called Hindu scripture, therefore only Hindus have to face birth, death, old age, disease. Christians and Muslims are beyond birth and death. It's not that the coronavirus or the mosquito does not bite them or anything like that. This is common for everyone. So does Bhagavad Gita identifies this systematically and very clearly, isn't it? If Bhagavad Gita is able to educate on the real life problems, certainly it also gives us a solution to overcome this real life problems. Thank you. Can we go back to the screen now? So how do we rise above this problem? The secret is simple, and the secret is to seek out the spiritual happiness. And what is a spiritual happiness? Is to revive one's relationship with the Supreme Father. So far, we have established there is a Supreme Father, and our happiness or our success of life lies on building our relationship with the Supreme Father. I know we have not addressed who is the Supreme Father yet. I have not addressed why there are so many religions and the conflicts in the religion. Is the Christ the Supreme Father, the Allah the Supreme Father, the Brahma, the Shiva, or the Durga, or Ganesh, or Krishna, or Vishnu, Rama? Who is the Supreme? We have not addressed. But at least so far we have addressed and understood that there is a Supreme Father, and the purpose of human form of life is to establish our relationship with Him, which gives us access to the unlimited spiritual happiness. To give you an example, imagine you're driving your car and on the traffic light, a beggar knocks on the door. And you look at the beggar. When you closely look at the beggar, you realize, oh, this beggar is the lost son of Mr. Ambani, the richest man in India, and you happen to be a good friend of Ambani. And long ago, Ambani had lost his son. And now you look at the outside of the window of your car, there is a beggar knocking on the door, and you identify him to be the lost son of Ambani. What will you do? Can we have the poll? There are few options that you can do. The first option, are we waiting for poll? Oh, I didn't give a poll for this. Oh, I forgot. Okay. Anyways, I forgot to give the poll to the team. So there are a few options that you can do. So let's call it A, B, C. You can type in your answer. What would you like? I missed out giving the poll to the team here. So the first option that you can do is you open the window shield, you take out a 500 rupees note and give it to him, thinking that he's the son of my dear friend. I should give him a little extra money as I give it to other beggars. I should be extra kind. And you roll out the window and you go away. That's the one option. That is option A. Option B, oh, he's the son of my friend. I should definitely take care of his food and education. I should educate him. I should give him clothes. And then you put him into a boarding school or somewhere. You provide for his education, clothes, and food, and you help him become, an educated man so that he can earn for himself. That's option B. And the option C, you say, oh my goodness, he's the lost son of my friend who is the richest man in this country. Let me put this boy in the car and let me drive him back to my friend, to his father. Because if he goes back to his father, all his problems would end. So among all of you, if third option is the C option, which option would you choose? A, give him extra money. B, provide for his education. Or C, take him back to his father, because the son goes back to the father, he'll be free from all his problems. Yes or no? So what's your option? What is the answer we're getting? Yeah, C is the answer. And that is actually indeed the correct answer. And the point is, Bhagavad Gita, the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, are the representative of the Lord, which means the spiritual teachers. They are like the friend of the Lord who knows about the Lord, and they help the living entity return back to the Supreme Lord. In the sense, they help revive our relationship with the Supreme Father. Thus, the text like Bhagavad Gita gives us the knowledge about who is the Supreme Father, who am I, and what is our relationship. Also tells us why we are suffering in this world, as we discussed in today's session. So true happiness lies in reviving our love with the Supreme Lord. If you see, happiness is a byproduct of love. Despite everything we have with us, we are still lacking satisfaction. And that is just because we are disconnected from our Supreme Father. For example, you have a tube light in your house, and if the cable gets disconnected, the electric cable, then the tube light switches off. For that switch light to get switched on, there has to be a constant supply of current, which means it has to be connected with power source. Because we are disconnected from our source, therefore we are dissatisfied, we are suffering despite of all the technological advancement. So once we revive our relationship with the Supreme Father, that's the time Bhagavad Gita promises all the problems of our life ceases to exist. And not only this, the nature of divine love, the love between the devotee and the Lord is such, it expands. And the persons, but naturally, shares happiness with each and everyone. Not only that he becomes happy within his own life, but he becomes a beacon of hope and happiness for everyone in the world by sharing the message of the Supreme Father and by sharing happiness with one and all. He, such a person, does not discriminate between a human and an animal. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmani Gavihasani Suni Chayava Sopakecha Pandita Samadashana. He looks at all the living entities as a brother and sister, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. He offers respect to every living entity and gives or shares happiness. So the choice is ours to follow the science, which is quite a lot based on Pratyaksha and Anuman Praman when it comes to the fundamental questions of life, such as who created universe, who created life, or what is the origin of different species, or we follow Shabda Praman, like given in the text such as Bhagavad Gita. But still, there is a question pending or remaining. And that question is accepting scriptures a blind faith? Are we supposed to accept scriptures, whatever scripture says, and is it a blind faith? We are living in the 21st century. Science is a religion. Spirituality means andhavishwas. There is lack of logic. Well, when it comes to science and spirituality, let me just take 2 to 3 minutes more before our time runs out to speak on this last subject matter for today. Science and spirituality. Science rely on our senses and mind. Spirituality rely on revealed scriptures considered as word of God. When it comes to science, people say science means facts and spirituality means blind faith. Well, that's not the case. Even science means blind faith. We just discussed about chance theory, Darwin's theory, Big Bang theory. It's a blind faith. There is no evidence for it. However, science and spirituality have two commonalities. The very first commonality between science and spirituality is faith, an essential prerequisite. For an example, in science also there are certain axiomatic truths. Axiom or axiomatic means self-evident, for which there is no proof. For an example, imaginary number. The whole mathematics is based on imaginary number. For there's no evidence and proof. There's a Heisenberg uncertainty principle. There's a third law of thermodynamics which talks about your, the crystal, the perfect crystal at a perfect zero, having a perfect density or pressure, something like that. It talks about it. Again, it is not provable. So this whole thing is based on faith. Well, if in science we can accept faith, why can't we accept axiomatic truths in spirituality, such as we are not body but spirit, soul, the spiritual world exists, etc., etc. So that is the first commonality between the science and spirituality. The second commonality between science and spirituality is the pattern. In science, there is a theory. You remember in your school days, you will study in your class, then the teacher will take you to the lab to do an experiment. And if experiment gives you the result, what was taught to you in the class, then you say experiment successful. Theory, experiment, and conclusion. Similarly, in spirituality, there is learning of Bhagavad Gita, the message of Bhagavad Gita, theory. Then there is a practice of the message of Bhagavad Gita, which is experimentation. And then by the practice of the message of Bhagavad Gita, which means meditation, which we'll be speaking in the last session in the series, when you practice meditation, and when it gives you the result, what is given or what is being spoken about in Bhagavad Gita, then it proves that science, spirituality, then it proves whatever you have learned. So spirituality is not blind faith. If it is based on sentiment, then it is blind faith. But if it is based on knowledge, then actually it is science. So science and spirituality are not at war with each other, but actually they have two commonalities. In fact, spirituality in its true sense is true science, because there is no subject of blind faith. It's a subject matter of practice. With that, we come to today's conclusion. However, there are one or two questions which are remaining, which I would like to address tomorrow. And the very first question is, why Vedas are called as mythology? What are the evidences that can prove Vedas to be true science? And we'll look back into a little history of how Vedas were termed as mythology. Along with that, we'll also learn about certain fundamental or frequently asked questions about Vedas, like what are Vedas, what is Bhagavad Gita, what is the origin of Bhagavad Gita or the Vedas. Bhagavad Gita origin and Bhagavad Gita Vedas origin is different. We'll be talking about it. What is the purpose of Vedas? Who wrote Vedas? And how have we received it? And what is the knowledge that is given in Vedas that can really help us flourish in our life? Will be some of the discussion that we intend to do tomorrow. And I would probably say tomorrow's discussion is very important because tomorrow we're going to go into a little bit of history, the modern history, where we're going to dive into it and look into the facts of how the whole Vedic culture was turned upside down and was called as a blind practice or was given a terminology like mythology. We'll look into that history tomorrow. So to conclude with, in a summary today, in a topic called as is Bhagavad Gita mythology, you can call it as an introductory session today on this topic. We discussed about search for happiness. Every living entity in this world is searching for happiness. And then we talked about 4 commonalities between humans and animals, and that is seed formula: sleeping, eating, enjoying, and defense. So what is the uniqueness between the humans and animals is the A, B, C, D formula, where A stands for ability to inquire, to seek out the higher levels of bliss. C represents choices, and D for determination to do the above 3 things. And there are 4 levels of bliss: at the physical level, emotional level, intellectual level, and at the spiritual level. So how do I access the happiness at the spiritual level is a subject matter that we ought to discuss. We'll be discussing in upcoming sessions. So what is the uniqueness of a human being is to inquire. Inquire, why am I suffering? Is to understand what is the purpose of the human form of life. And then we asked about, why am I suffering? What is the real problem? Bhagavad Gita defines 7 kinds of problem: Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Adhyatmika, Adhibhautik, Adhidaivik, Kilesha. If Bhagavad Gita talks or diagnoses a problem, also gives a solution. And the solution is, the only way to rise above these problems is to build or is to re-establish our forgotten relationship with the Supreme Lord. And to help you understand that, I gave an example of a forgotten or a lost son of the richest man in this country. And you bring that lost son back to the Father. And once that happens, all the miseries of the lost son would end. Similarly, the Bhagavad Gita or a saint educates us about our Supreme Father, re-establishes our relationship with the Supreme Father, and once that happens, the miseries ceases to exist. But yet, there is a question, is spirituality a blind faith? So then we spoke about the commonalities between science and spirituality. And the question that we'll be taking tomorrow is, why Vedas are termed as mythologies, and certain FAQs on the subject matter of, is Bhagavad Gita mythology? Like, what are Vedas? What's the purpose? Who gave Vedas? How did Vedas came into existence? Etc. will be discussed tomorrow in the part 2 of this topic. With that, we thank you all for joining us for today evening, despite being a weekday. Sincere gratitude to each one of you for taking out your time for this. I personally feel a very important subject matter. Everyone at least must hear it once in their life, and then they decide for themselves. Do they want to believe that their ancestors were apes? Do they want to believe this whole beautiful creation came by an explosion, and you as an individual being were nothing but a mixture of a chemical, and the life originated by a random mixture of chemicals? Or is there an intelligent creator behind it? The choice is ours. With that, thank you all for today. I just went 3 minutes above, and I would like to give the blame to the loss of internet. So, I tried to finish it in time. What to do? Internet went in between, so I had to extend by 3 minutes. So back to Mother Dipasha. If in case we have any questions from our audience, we can take that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
And as usual, once again, as I generally say, it'll be nice if our guests who are there, if they can switch on their camera, so at least I know who am I speaking to. Okay, if you're all comfortable. So some of them I recognize, like Ram Krishna ji there, and few others. But all right, Mother Dipasha, back to you. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for enlightening on such an interesting subject matter. And we are getting lots of questions from not only the YouTube platform, but also the Zoom participants are also very enthusiastic. They have raised their hands. So I would like to go one on one. So Mathili Mataji, would you like to ask your question? I'm allowing you to unmute. Yes,
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna. My question is, if God is one, then why so many religions?
हाँ माता जी, इस क्वेश्चन के लिए हम अपना चौथा टॉपिक में विस्तार से चर्चा करेंगे। ये बहुत बड़ा प्रश्न है, भगवान एक तो इतने सारे धर्म क्यों, रिलीजन क्यों? So please have patience for the fourth topic. All right, which means from 3 days from now we'll be talking about this subject. All right.
Okay. Dhanyavad, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, next question I'm taking from YouTube. It is from Shantanu Paulji, and he's saying, can science and spirituality go side by side? Is there any
Yes.
possibility?
In fact, हम जब कल tomorrow when we're going to discuss on the subject matter more, we'll actually prove you that spirituality is actually a science, and science and spirituality are not in conflict. They are in harmony with each other, and that's what I just proved to you just in the concluding part of the discussion by saying that science and spirituality have two commonalities. One is the faith, and second is the process of theory, experiment, and the result. These commonalities are both, the two commonalities between the science and spirituality. So they're not at battle with each other, they're in harmony with each other. But the point is, it depends on who's presenting spirituality and who's presenting science. If somebody presenting science has no understanding of spirituality, for him, spirituality and science do not go well together. Similarly, somebody is representing spirituality, have no understanding of the science. Similarly, he will say science and spirituality cannot go together. So somebody who's well learned and properly educated in the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita can only tell you science and spirituality are in harmony with each other. We'll discuss this tomorrow more. All right?
Ji, Prabhuji. I can see raised hand.
Is there a bandwidth issue that
Ji.
not on? Is there a bandwidth issue? Okay. So yeah, once again, we can, if our audience are comfortable, it's nice at least to know who I'm talking to. And if the audience can switch on, keep the cameras on. Yes, please go ahead.
Mahesh Jagtapji, you can ask your question, please.
हरि बोल प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्णा। कौन बोल रहे हैं?
महेश जगताप बोल रहा हूँ प्रभु जी।
यस महेश जी।
भगवान खुद को स्पिरिचुअल कैसे मेंटेन करते हैं?
भगवान
खुद को स्पिरिचुअली कैसे मेंटेन करते हैं? हम क्यों नहीं स्पिरिचुअल मेंटेन कर सकते खुद को?
So how Lord is spiritual? Is that the question?
हाँ।
Is that an internet issue?
हरि बोल।
Yes, Maheshi. Is your question is why Lord, how Lord is spiritual? There is a issue with.
Yes,
well, the question is not about how Lord is spiritual. The point is Lord is spiritual. Lord is never material. Lord is always spiritual. Satchit Ananda. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvatah. Krishna says, my birth, my appearance, my activities are all transcendental and spiritual. However, because of lack of knowledge and understanding, we consider Lord's activities and appearance to be comparable to an ordinary human being. We think just like a child is born, similarly the Lord is born. Just like the child performs his activities under the laws of the karma, so does the Lord performs. That is just because of lack of knowledge or education. So, but yes, Lord is spiritual at all times. So there's no question of how he is. He is spiritual. That's his nature. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Next question I'm taking from the YouTube. Viewer Poonam Mirani ji. She is asking that, is it because of the karma we suffer? Then why newborn kids are suffering from any kind of disease or any kind of issues?
Hare Krishna. Just like last evening, I believe Dr. Sarita had asked a question to me, and I'm not sure if you were online then, and I had answered for one of her questions saying that if you are in a plane, or let's say you're not a plane, let's say the plane is about to crash and there are 3 passengers in the plane, and you can only save the life of one of the passenger. One passenger is a mother holding a small child. Another passenger is a doctor, world famous doctor. Third is a very famous Hollywood actor. If you have to make a decision, whom would you like to save? Oh, acha. She can
The
type
question-
it? I forgot.
Prabhuji, question was from YouTube.
Sorry?
YouTube is delayed, so we are not.
Oh, is it delayed? Okay, okay, okay. So I have 1 second. I got signed. What's the passcode? 108? Some of the internet is getting disconnected. All right. Okay, I'll focus here. We are having some internet issues at our end. So, okay, because I can't interact with you in that way. So, point here is the question that has come to your mind, that why a child has to face a suffering. This question is coming from an understanding that this life is the only life. We'll be speaking about it day after tomorrow. This life is not the only life. We have lived a life before this life, which means we've had a previous lives and we're going to have a future life. Reincarnation is not a myth. Reincarnation is a fact. And I'm not going to prove it to you because what Bhagavad Gita says only. I'll give you scientific evidences, the statements by the scientists, will give you visual evidences of how reincarnation is actually a fact, not a myth. If reincarnation is a fact, then law of karma functions. So whatever somebody have done in the past life need not necessarily get that punishment or the reward in that lifetime. The law of karma is such, some of the rewards you are given in that lifetime, some of it is given in the next lifetime, and some of it could be given after many lifetimes. And same goes with the punishment. Now you may say, but what's the fault of the child? Child has no knowledge what he did in his past life. The answer is, if you go to any country and if you don't know the traffic laws and if you're caught violating the traffic laws, do you think you can make this excuse to the police there? Well, I didn't know the traffic laws of the country. And the policeman would definitely tell you, well, you should find out what is the traffic law if you have come to this country. So all of us have come to this world or in this material universe. It is our responsibility to find out how we are supposed to live our life. It is our responsibility to study scriptures like Bhagavad Gita to understand how to live our life. Ignorance is not an excuse. And I'll conclude with, just like a child puts his hand on the fire, would the fire burn? Yes or no? Of course it will burn. If an adult put a hand on the fire, would the fire burn? Yes, fire would burn. The point is, it does not matter. The child knows or does not know. If you put your hand in the fire, fire will burn. So if you don't know how the laws of the universe will still act. Therefore, we need to study, we need to know how this universe functions and what are the laws of it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Next, I can see Sonali Bharti ji. Sonali Bharti ji, would you like
Hare
to-
Krishna. Sorry, I cannot hear you. Why are we having problem with the sound again? Are you reducing the sound or what?
Sonali Bharti ji. Yeah.
Yeah.
You may unmute yourself, Sonali ji.
Good evening, Prabhuji. My question is that, though once we found the path of this spiritual, why it is difficult to be constant on this path? Though we are realizing, but it is so difficult to be consistent. So what is the reason and what is the solution for it? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for a very beautiful question. Can you give me just a quick second? What is the Zoom ID for our meeting? Can you tell me? I'll type it.
Yeah.
Bolo. Hare Krishna. Yes. So, okay. Sonali ji, sorry, can you just say that again? I believe your question was why we fail to maintain determination on the spiritual path. Am I correct?
Yes, absolutely. And what is the solution to be consistent? Sometimes we understand everything so clearly. We know the importance. We follow path half the way, I don't know whether it is happening with me. After understanding everything, why it is so difficult to be consistent in that? What's the reason and what's the solution for it? Hare Krishna.
A very famous author in America once made a very beautiful statement. And he said, the world today faces the greatest threat, not from the weapons of mass destruction, DESTRU, destruction. He said, no, that's not the greatest threat. The greatest threat today is from the weapons of mass distractions, DISTRACTION. What are the weapons of mass distractions? The social media, the TV, the news, and whatnot. We are living in the world, we are living in the time which is filled with temptations and distractions. Unless we have a very strong association of saintly people, regular association of saintly people, any one of us is bound to get distracted on the spiritual path. So the solution for us to remain determined is to find out an association of saintly people or the community of spiritually like-minded people where you can stay in that community on a day-to-day basis. What I mean by stay is not that a physical stay, but keep in association with them through the ongoing everyday programs or some forum, some way, so that you keep in connect with them. Just like for our folks back at Hinjewadi, our programs begin at 4:30 in the morning. 4:30, the whole community come for the Brahma Murta program, which goes for 20 minutes, and then 5 o'clock is meditation session, which goes from 5 to 7. And then 7 o'clock is an Aarti. Aarti is done by individuals at their respective home. Then they again come online at 8 o'clock. From 8 to 9 is a morning Bhagavatam class. So effectively from 4:30 to 9 o'clock, literally, many people are together practicing spiritual culture and spiritual life. And after 9 o'clock, the rest of the day, they were performing their household duties, their professional responsibilities, and other social obligations. And like we have this evening program, and some of them again join back in the evening program, or else they have other engagements, maybe studying scriptures, something like that. So opportunities there. Actually, the COVID times have actually turned out to be a curse for many, but also have turned out to be a blessing for many. The opportunity for association, the kind of opportunity for association it has created was never ever thought before. I mean, before this whole COVID thing, I probably hardly ever gave any online session. Even I was totally against the whole idea of this online session. I said, no, nothing doing online. We would like to talk to people in person, face to face. Now we have people joining in for different parts, which we don't know also. So through online media, we're able to connect with each other and we're getting association. So the only thing that we need to fix in our life is take more association. We cannot change the environment which is filled with temptations, but we can make a choice of associating with the saintly or the spiritual like-minded people more and more. That will keep you determined on this path. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Sorry, you're muted, so could not hear. Is that okay, answers?
You may unmute yourself, Sonali ji.
Yes, and thank you so much.
Okay.
It was a wonderful explanation. So let me try with this as well. So I'll be consistent in this path. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I can see 2 more hands up. Rani ji. Rani ji, would you like to ask a question? I'm allowing you to unmute yourself. Okay. So
Yes,
next.
please. Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes, please. I would like to ask my question. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam. Prabhuji, in the line of the discussion we just had as in reincarnation, I just wanted to ask, Dhritarashtra had the misfortune, he had the karma to see 100 of his sons die before his eyes. That is because he was a hunter and he killed some the 100 chicks of some bird or something, I understand. What was, I'm just trying to understand Gandhari's karma, Prabhuji. Could you just help me?
I mean, I don't know about Gandhari's karma. I don't know about my karma. So how do I know about Gandhari's karma? I know only what Mahabharata talks about. So there is not much description given about Gandhari's past life. So I'll tell you something very interesting about karma. Lord Shri Krishna in the 4th chapter says, karma is so intricate, it is beyond anyone's conception. All right. And regarding the story that he quoted about Dhritarashtra's in his previous life being a hunter, is actually not a bona fide story. This is not given in the Mahabharata composed by Vyasadeva. These are the hearsay. These are what they say Hindi mein lok katha. There's not an actual factual story about it, but definitely there must be a karma for it, but not exactly like this is mentioned. All right, Raniji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I can see one more hand, Sohana. Sohana ji, would you like to ask a question? I think I saw a young girl. Yeah, you may unmute yourself. Good to see such young kids enthusiastic to know about Lord.
Prabhuji, I was asking about how we got to know about the existence of the Lord.
Sorry, Sohana, say that again.
I wanted to know about the existence of Lord, how we got to know about him.
So how do we know about the existence of the Lord? We know about the existence of Lord by the people who have seen the Lord. They are called as saints, or by the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Lord Shri Krishna, and Lord Shri Krishna says, Aham bija prathapita. Aham sarvasya prabhaho matha sarvam pavartate. Iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samandita. Elsewhere, Krishna says, Mamevam su jiva loka jiva bhuta sanatana. There are many verses in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, Arjuna, I am the Supreme Father, I am the Supreme Lord. And the person who is compiling Bhagavad Gita, that is Srila Vyasadeva, whenever it comes, not Vyasadeva, Sanjaya is speaking about the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna to Dhritarashtra. And whenever Sanjaya would have to speak what Arjuna said, he would say Arjuna Uvacha. Uvacha means speak, what Arjuna said. But whenever Krishna's turn would be there to speak, Sanjaya would always address Krishna as Bhagavan Uvacha. So in Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, Arjuna says, My dear Lord, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adi Devam Ajam Vivam. I now totally accept you to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. First evidence. Second, he says, My dear Lord, not only I say, but I have also heard from the authorities like Narada, Vyasadeva, Asita, and etc., who also claim you to be the Supreme Personality. So here Arjuna says, through Pratyaksh Praman, I know you're the Supreme Personality, you're standing before my eyes. Through Shabda Praman, I have heard from authorities like Vyasadeva that you're the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, through scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, we understand who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And like by the great personalities like Srila Prabhupada, the messenger of Lord, or the great saint, whatever you want to call, who came into a disciplic line, he also taught us that the message of Bhagavad Gita, who is Krishna. So through saintly people and the Vedic scriptures, we understand who is the Supreme Lord. All right.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I can see one more young audience, Gaurang, who has...
Dipasha, your voice is faint.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I guess when you're nearby, your voice is okay. When you go back, it becomes faint.
Yes, Prabhuji, I can see one more young boy who wants to ask a question to you. So, Gaurang, would you like to ask quickly? Gaurang, you are not audible. No, we are not able to hear you, Gaurang. Okay, Gaurang, I'll come back to you a little later. Neha ji, would you like to ask a question? You may unmute
Anything
yourself.
else on YouTube? Anything else on YouTube?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Who is speaking?
Neha, actually my video is not working. I don't
Fine,
know.
fine.
The host is actually stopped my video. I don't know.
Started.
Mataji, you may try to.
All right.
Hare Krishna,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
yes. Hare
प्रभु जी
Krishna.
मेरा प्रश्न है, मैं इतने वर्षों से मतलब हमारे जो एल्डर्स हैं उनको प्रेयर्स करते देखती हूँ, ठीक है, तो बट स्टिल दे आर इन पेन, दे आर सफरिंग, सो व्हाट इज द रीजन बिहाइंड दैट? Actually, the
correct.
process of praying is wrong, and I don't know, I can't say that Shraddha is not there or what, the lack of faith, what
So
is the
Neha
reason?
ji is a wonderful question. Let me tell you this way. अगर कोई व्यक्ति बीमार है, डॉक्टर के पास जाता है और डॉक्टर से प्रिस्क्रिप्शन लेता है, तो उनके सही होने की चांसेस तभी तक हैं जब वो डॉक्टर के द्वारा दिए हुए प्रिस्क्रिप्शन एंड डाइट प्लान को फॉलो करें। तो आपने देखा होगा कई बार कुछ लोग डॉक्टर्स के पास नहीं जाते हैं, बोलते हैं हमें पता है हमारा इलाज कैसे करना है, वो घर में बैठे बैठे कोई कोई गोलियां खाते रहते हैं, हाँ या ना?
हाँ जी।
So the people who say they are religious, they practice religion or dharma, yet they say, why am I suffering? I would say are the people who are trying to follow dharma on their own without the proper guidance. ये वैसे ही हैं जो बिना डॉक्टर की मदद के अपने आप ही दवाई खा रहे हैं, और वो दवाई कहाँ से पता चला है? आस पड़ोस से पूछकर, समाज में देखकर। तो हमारी जितनी ज्यादातर पूजा पाठ होती है, आप जो पूजा पाठ करते हैं, हमें उनसे पूछना चाहिए आप ये क्यों कर रहे हैं, इसका उद्देश्य क्या है, आपको किसने सिखाया, कहाँ पे किस शास्त्र में बताया गया है। एंड as far as I know, nobody has any clue of it.
But
सब लोग ये
one
कहते हैं,
person actually, sorry for interrupting,
Go ahead.
but one person I know who is actually like भागवत गीता जो है, श्रीमद् भगवत गीता, वो बहुत लंबे टाइम से फॉलो कर रहे हैं, या तो वो प्रॉपर तरीके से अपने लाइफ में उसको फॉलो नहीं कर रहे हैं।
we
Like
always
you
need
say,
a person, we always need a teacher to tell us what and how to apply that knowledge. शास्त्र से हमें भगवान का पता चलता है, पर शास्त्र के साथ साथ भगवान भगवद गीता में ही कहते हैं तद्विति प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्षन्ति ते ज्ञानम ज्ञानिनास तत्वदर्शिनः। तत्वदर्शिनः refers to guru. Hey Arjuna, if you want to know what and how to perform your duties, this is 4th chapter, verse number 34, you have to go and take shelter of a bona fide guru. ये भगवान श्री कृष्ण के भगवद गीता में ही बोले हुए शब्द हैं। भगवान ये नहीं कह रहे कि अर्जुन अगर तुम मेरे गीता के अध्ययन को सुनोगे तो तुम्हारी सारी परेशानी खत्म हो जाएंगी। उसी गीता में कहा गया है आप जाओ और अपने मन में आए हुए प्रश्न को एक आध्यात्मिक गुरु से पूछो जो तत्वदर्शी है, जिसने भगवान को देखा है, मतलब जिसको भगवद गीता का सही रूप में ज्ञान पता है और अपने जीवन में उतार चुका है, वही आपका मार्गदर्शन कर सकता है। केवल ग्रंथ पढ़ने से कोई बदलाव नहीं आता, थोड़ा बदलाव आएगा बट नॉट कंप्लीटली। We need a living teacher who has lived by the teaching of the scriptures.
धन्यवाद।
Only then it is possible. Just like Prabhupada would give an example, engineering की books तो बाहर shops में available होती हैं, isn't it? Bookstore पे. So it's not that somebody goes and buys a book, read by himself, he becomes an engineer or a doctor. Imagine somebody becomes a doctor and he puts a note outside his clinic, self-studied doctor. How many of you would go to the doctor? I graduated from my own self-created university, and I have have given myself a position of MBBS or whatever you want to call it. So nobody will go to him. So we have to must have studied under the guidance of somebody. Gauranga, how do we know we were in past life? Gauranga, don't worry about your past life, but be more worrisome or more, be more conscious about what will you be in the next life. We have two options. Either we can get 4 hands or 4 legs. Pick your choice. 4 hands means Vishnu Dutas, 4 legs means animal. What would you like to be? All right. So don't worry about what were in your past life. That's not so important. Be grateful that you got a human birth now and do what you're supposed to do as a human being. All right. Gaurang, how old are you? Type in the chat box. I guess you should follow the examples of Prahlad Maharaj or Dhruva Maharaj. We have every Friday evening kids program where we are discussing about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If any one of you are interested, you can contact Mother Dipasha and she can give you those invitation and you can join those programs. All right.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So I see a question from Dr. Sarita. How do we find bona fide guru? Please pray to the Lord. So there is a verse which says, it is Krishna who brings you to a bona fide guru, and it is bona fide guru who takes you back to the God. So please pray to the Lord. My dear Lord, please connect me with a genuine guru, and Krishna and the Lord would definitely fulfill your desire. All right. What's next? We should
Prabhuji,
conclude
last
now.
question, we can take it from Dr. Sachin Kasakji.
Dipasha, lost you again.
Prabhuji, can we take last questions from Dr. Sachin Kasakji?
Yes,
Prabhuji
the
has
last
taken-
question, and the remaining questions we can take it tomorrow. Oh, Dr. Sachin.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Prabhuji,
I have a very
what's your question? You should not have any question. You can help answer the question.
Today basically I have a very maybe a silly type of a question. When we are having these votes, the poll, one of the questions was, what is the biggest problem according to most of the audience, and everyone answered death. I was just wondering, Prabhuji, death comes later. It's the birth which comes first.
But
So
I didn't
why
give
not
that
birth
option.
be the first problem, the biggest problem?
Correct. But I did not give that
We
option.
made some sins and we came here. So why not consider
Totally.
birth as the biggest problem?
Dr. Sachin, correct, totally correct. But the point is, I did not give that option only. I gave the option of death, wealth, possession, or something. I don't know what were the options. People understand death to be a problem, but generally most of the people don't recognize birth to be a problem. So therefore, intentionally, I did not give. But I just wanted some input from them. So just to see that they're understanding it. Therefore, I had mentioned that. But you're very correct. The actual problem is the birth. And then because there is a birth, there is a death. And well, that's not subject matter we should talk right now. People will be scared. If birth is a problem, then what are we talking about? So as we proceed ahead in the discussion, you will understand more on this subject matter about birth, death, old age, and disease. So I'll pause it there for that. Okay. But you're correct. You're correct. Indeed.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. With that and with your due permission, we would like to end today's session, which was
Just
very interesting.
one quick comment, because we had a lot of questions from Zoom. I just hope if there was some audience on YouTube, we have not left them unattended. Is there anything? I can take one or two questions from YouTube if in case there are.
So, Prabhuji, there was a thread of questions from Poonam Mataji only, where she asked the question why, if karma is the reason why kids are suffering. So she commented like that. Then I think it's a injustice because person is not aware why he or she is suffering. If we are
So
talking about
Poonam, this question would be taken. We'll take that question when we'll talk about the topic of karma. So today we have spoken about is Bhagavad Gita mythology and context of that. So have patience when we come to that subject matter. A lot of things will be clear to you, and then we can take this question. Don't worry about it. I am intentionally not speaking on the subject matter now. I know all of you would like to hear about it, but to come to that subject matter, there has to be some foundation created. Certain prerequisite understanding have to be established. That is what we are doing now. So have patience. Just like when a child goes to school, he has to go through the patience of almost how many years? 16 years? 20 years of formal education before he becomes somebody who doesn't know what to and how to live a life. Totally confused after that. Anyways, that's just a joke. But the point is, whoever are engineers, after engineering, they're always wondering, why did I do engineering? Because I never use it in my professional life. Except for the doctors. Maybe doctors have more practical knowledge than we engineers. Anyways, anything else from the YouTube?
No, Prabhuji. We have exhausted all questions from YouTube.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much to all our audience, whether they are from YouTube or from Zoom. I would like to mention specifically that yesterday we have shared the notes which was prepared by Nihar. Nihar is just a standard boy, and he has created very nice notes of Prabhuji's 2 sessions. So if you have also created such kind of notes, or if you have anything which you would like to share, you can ping to the admins of our WhatsApp group, so Vishwakar and Prabhuji, the one-man army, and they will circulate it so that it will be useful for everyone. So maybe if you're noting it down, or if you're finding something which is like a takeaway lesson, so you can share it with us. And with that, it is going to be very, very helpful to each and everyone. So we are looking forward to have all of you tomorrow for the second part of this session, is Bhagavad Gita mythology I believe some of our doubts have already been clarified by Prabhuji. If still some of them are there, or if you are still, some of your friends are having some doubts, then please bring them tomorrow so that they can discuss or they can ask their doubts with Prabhuji, and we can have more clarity that why, who claimed, or what was the reason that our Vedas were claimed as mythology, and then how we can have many empirical evidences that no, the Vedas are not mythology, or Bhagavad Gita is not mythology. It's a true text which was spoken by the Lord itself. With that, I request all of you to take care of yourself. Hare Krishna. Have a very blissful night. Hari Bol. Dandavat pranam to all of you.
Just a concluding comment for the end of a topic, which means every topic has 2 sessions. So there would be a quiz posted for yesterday's session topic. When it ended, the quiz was posted. If in case you have not attempted, please do attempt it. And at the end of the program series, we'll have the top 3 winners who excelled or who scored the maximum across all the 5 quizzes that we'll be having. So do remember to visit the website, check out the presentation, which is already posted, and also solve the quiz. The quiz would be always posted at the end of the topic, not the session. So today's topic has not ended, would end tomorrow. So today's topic quiz will be tomorrow, and yesterday's topic quiz has already been posted. All right. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, all our aunties, uncles, all our kids, for wonderful participation. Look forward to have all of you tomorrow.